One became a Matrix star who battled drug addiction, another faced kidney failure and domestic violence charges, while the third disappeared entirely from public view after witnessing their father's final moments. The children of soul legend Marvin Gaye inherited more than just his musical legacy. They inherited decades of trauma, scandal, and survival. Here's what really happened to Marvin Gaye's children. Marvin Gaye III. Marvin Gaye III's life began with one of the most scandalous secrets in Motown history, and the complications from that deception would shape every aspect of his existence for decades to come. Born on November 17, 1965, Marvin III was officially presented to the world as the adopted son of soul legend Marvin Gaye and his wife Anna Gordy, but the truth was far more shocking than anyone could have imagined at the time. The real story was that Anna Gordy's 16-year-old niece, Denise Gordy, had given birth to the child, and to avoid the scandal of a teenage pregnancy within the powerful Gordy family, Anna and Marvin agreed to adopt the baby and raise him as their own. Anna even went so far as to fake her own pregnancy in public, padding her clothes and appearing at events with what looked like a growing belly, all to maintain the illusion that she was carrying Marvin's biological child. The deception was so complete that Marvin III himself didn't learn the truth about his real parentage until years later, when details emerged in his father's biography. When Marvin Gaye was tragically shot and killed by his own father on April 1, 1984, 17-year-old Marvin III suddenly found himself thrust into an impossible position. Because his father had died without leaving a will, Marvin III automatically became co-administrator of the entire Gaye estate, inheriting not just his father's musical legacy, but also his massive debts. At the time of his death, Marvin Gaye owed nearly $2 million to the IRS, and in back alimony payments, meaning that Marvin III had to navigate complex legal and financial battles while still processing the trauma of losing his father in such a violent way. For years, Marvin III worked quietly to manage his father's estate and preserve his musical legacy. But his own life took a devastating turn in the early 2010s when he was diagnosed with kidney failure. The disease, brought on by type 2 diabetes that he had been battling for 20 years, progressed to the point where he needed dialysis 3 times a week just to stay alive. In 2013, facing what doctors called end-stage renal disease, Marvin III made the difficult decision to go public with his medical crisis, appearing on television shows and granting interviews to plead for a kidney donor. His public appeal eventually reached Rick Green, a custodian from Cincinnati who had never heard of Marvin Gaye III, but felt called to help after seeing his story on Entertainment Tonight. Green donated his kidney to Marvin III in a life-saving surgery, and the transplant was successful, giving Marvin III a second chance at life that he has maintained for nearly 8 years now. However, Marvin III's struggles were far from over, as his personal life became increasingly turbulent in recent years. On January 12, 2023, he was arrested on charges of domestic violence and assault with a deadly weapon after allegedly pointing a gun at both his wife Wendy and a female cousin during a heated argument at their Calabasas home. According to police reports, Marvin III physically assaulted both women before retrieving a firearm and threatening their lives, forcing him to turn himself in to authorities the following day. The incident led to Marvin III filing for divorce from Wendy just 2 months later, citing irreconcilable differences and requesting that the court block her from receiving any spousal support. But the legal troubles didn't end there, as a new lawsuit filed in December 2024 accuses him of even more serious allegations, including assault, battery, false imprisonment, and intimidation tactics such as tampering with someone's vehicle brakes and arranging surveillance of their home. Throughout all of these personal struggles, Marvin III has remained fiercely protective of his father's musical legacy, most notably during the high-profile legal battle over Robin Thicke's song Blurred Lines, which the Gaye family successfully argued was copied from Marvin Gaye's 1977 hit Got to Give It Up, ultimately winning a $7.4 million judgment against Thicke and his collaborators. Nona Gaye. Nona Gaye's journey from the daughter of a soul legend to a Hollywood actress happened through a series of tragic circumstances and personal battles that she had to overcome while learning about her father's troubled life through the very music he left behind. Born on September 4, 1974, Nona was only 9 years old when her father was shot and killed by his own father, leaving her with fragments of memories and a musical legacy that would both inspire and haunt her for years to come. Growing up without her father meant that Nona had to piece together who Marvin Gaye really was through his recordings, and what she discovered was both beautiful and heartbreaking. In interviews years later, she explained how listening to his music as an adult revealed the depth of his pain and his struggles with the world around him. She told Entertainment Tonight that when she was young, she didn't understand the work because she was too young, but as she got older and started listening to it and understanding how troubled he was about the way the world was and the way his life was, it made her cry once she was old enough to truly comprehend what he was expressing. Despite being born into a musical family, with her father being a Motown legend and her maternal grandfather being jazz musician Slim Gaillard, Nona's path to stardom was far from smooth. In the early 1990s, she launched her music career and released her debut album, Love for the Future, in 1992, which included the top 20 hit, I'm Overjoyed. But it was during this time that she entered into a secret 3-year relationship with the iconic musician Prince, and this period of her life became marked by both creative collaboration and personal struggle. During her relationship with Prince, which lasted from approximately 1993 to 1996, Nona recorded several songs with him, including duets like Love Sign and 1000 Hugs and Kisses, though many of these tracks remained unreleased. However, this period also coincided with what Nona has candidly described as a long personal battle with drug abuse, a struggle that she kept largely hidden from the public eye. She has spoken openly about how she successfully overcame her addiction in 1996, marking a turning point that allowed her to redirect her life toward acting. Nona's entry into Hollywood came almost by accident when she auditioned for the role of Belinda Ali in the 2001 film Ali, starring Will Smith. Despite having no formal acting experience and her agents warning her not to get her hopes up, she won the role and delivered what film critics called a startlingly good performance. This breakthrough led to her most famous role, though it came about through tragic circumstances that mirrored the sudden losses she had experienced in her own life. When rising R&B star Aaliyah died in a plane crash in August 2001, she had already begun filming scenes for The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions in the role of Z, the wife of Harold Perrineau's character Link. The filmmakers, Lily and Lana Wachowski, faced the difficult decision of recasting the role and reshooting Aaliyah's scenes. They chose Nona for the part, and she stepped into what would become her most recognizable role, appearing in both Matrix sequels released in 2003. Nona embraced the action-heavy role with enthusiasm, later saying that she had never played such a strong and exciting character before, and that these action roles were very exciting to her, because she wanted to do more films within the action and drama genres. Her performance earned her a nomination for an NAACP Image Award for her portrayal of Z in The Matrix Revolutions. Following her success in the Matrix films, Nona continued building her acting career with roles in several other notable films, including Crash in 2004, where she worked alongside an ensemble cast, and The Polar Express, also in 2004, where she provided the voice of the unnamed hero girl. She also appeared in 30X, State of the Union in 2005, playing Lola, an ex-girlfriend of Ice Cube's character, and took on the role of preacher's wife Charlene Frank in The Gospel in 2005, a film that she said was close to her heart because it echoed themes from her father's own life. Frankie Christian Gaye has become the most enigmatic figure among Marvin Gaye's children, choosing a path of complete privacy that has made him virtually invisible to the public eye for more than 4 decades since his father's tragic death. Born on November 16, 1975, Frankie was named after his father's beloved brother Frankie Gaye, who had served in the Vietnam War and whose stories of combat had inspired Marvin Gaye to write the socially conscious masterpiece, What's Going On? At just 8 years old, Frankie experienced the traumatic loss of his father in the most shocking way possible when Marvin Gaye was shot and killed by his own father during a domestic dispute on April 1, 1984. This devastating event occurred at the family home in Los Angeles, and the impact on young Frankie was profound, though unlike his siblings, he has never spoken publicly about that day or how it affected him throughout his life. What makes Frankie's story so unusual is the deliberate way he has avoided any connection to his father's fame or the entertainment industry entirely. While both of his siblings pursued careers that kept them in the public spotlight, with Marvin III managing their father's estate and working in music production, and Nona becoming a successful actress and singer, Frankie made the conscious decision to step away from anything that might draw attention to his personal life or connect him to the Gaye family legacy in a public way. Even during major family events and legal battles that required the involvement of all three children, Frankie's participation has been minimal and largely behind the scenes. When the family fought the high-profile copyright infringement case against Robin Thicke, Pharrell Williams, and other creators of the hit song Blurred Lines, claiming it copied their father's 1977 song Got to Give It Up, Frankie was listed as one of the plaintiffs alongside his siblings, but he made no public statements and gave no interviews about the case that ultimately resulted in a $7.4 million victory for the Gaye family. The extent of Frankie's privacy is so complete that there are virtually no photographs of him as an adult, no interviews, no social media presence, and no public records of his career, relationships, or current residence. While his siblings have been the subject of numerous articles, interviews, and news stories over the years, Frankie has managed to maintain such a low profile that even entertainment journalists and biographers who have written extensively about the Gaye family have little to no information about his adult life. This level of privacy is particularly striking given that the Gaye family name carries significant weight in the music industry, and that Frankie could have easily leveraged his connection to his father's legacy for career opportunities or financial gain. Instead, he appears to have chosen a completely different path, one that prioritizes personal privacy over public recognition or involvement in preserving his father's musical heritage in any visible way. The few times Frankie's name has appeared in public documents or news reports, it has been solely in connection with legal matters involving his father's estate, where his signature or consent was required as one of Marvin Gaye's heirs. Even in these instances, there are typically no quotes from him, no photographs, and no additional details about his current life or circumstances. What's particularly noteworthy is that Frankie's decision to remain private appears to be a conscious choice rather than the result of any particular scandal or controversy. Unlike his brother Marvin III, who has faced legal troubles and health crises that have forced him into the spotlight, Frankie seems to have simply decided that he wanted no part of public life whatsoever. This choice has made him perhaps the most successful of Marvin Gaye's children at maintaining a normal, private existence, though it has also created an air of mystery around him that has persisted for decades. His complete absence from public life stands as a stark contrast to the very public struggles and achievements of his siblings, making him the ultimate enigma in the story of what happened to Marvin Gaye's children.